Thank you for coming today. 5 years ago, then Governor Wolf directed the DEP to begin an investigation of radioactivity in landfill leachate throughout the Commonwealth. Since then, citizens of the Commonwealth have long waited for a report to be released with the findings, and on March 13th, 2026, the DEP released their report, Radium in Untreated Landfill Leachate Investigation. We're here at DEP today as a coalition of environmental and public health advocacy organizations, including Protect PT, Center for Coalfield Justice, Sierra Club Pennsylvania Chapter, Physicians for Social Responsibility Pennsylvania, Frac Tracker Alliance, Earthworks, Three Rivers Waterkeeper, and Mountain Watershed Association, along with 52 other organizations in the Commonwealth to hand deliver our response to the report. Due to the serious nature of this report, we felt it was extremely important for the press, DEP executives and staff, along with all citizens of the Commonwealth, to understand how extremely alarming and untrue it is for Secretary Jessica Shirley to state that radioactivity in landfill leachate poses no risk to human health. To explain further our position, we will begin by hearing from Katie Jones, Ohio River Valley Coordinator for Frac Tracker Alliance, discussing the connection between oil and gas waste and radium found in landfills.
Good morning. The DEP's claim that there is no risk to human health from radiation and landfill leachate is misleading. Importantly, no risk assessment was conducted. The primary action level in the report was the Nuclear Regulatory Commission standard of 600 picocuries per liter, a discharge limit designed for untreated wastewater sent from a licensed nuclear facility to a sewage or wastewater treatment plant. The data in the report shows that the highest average combined radium over 4 consecutive quarters ranged from 300 to 500 picocuries per liter. But looking at the individual readings in Appendix E, we found that the maximum single measurement per landfill actually ranged from 348 to 1,077 picocuries per liter, with 9 landfills recording a value higher than that 600 picocurie per liter limit. Despite its flaws, the report's findings are alarming and signal a need for more accurate studies to better understand the true levels and sources of radiation, as well as targeted mitigation efforts to reduce radium concentration in leachate. Sorry about that. On this map, right here, you can see the locations of the landfills sampled in the report, and the points circled in red indicate that the landfill accepted oil and gas waste between 2010 and 2025. The report declared no correlation between high radium levels and the acceptance of oil and gas waste at landfills, but only waste acceptance going back to 2015 was considered by DEP. Using data going back to 2010, we found that 29 of those 49 landfills surveyed in the report, or 70%, accepted oil and gas waste, and the highest radium readings were recorded at those sites. As an example, Southern Allegheny's landfill in Somerset County has not appeared on the oil and gas waste reports for over 10 years. But the report still listed a maximum radium reading of over 900 picocuries per liter at this site. Disposing of oil and gas waste in landfills can have long-lasting consequences, as radium-226 can persist in the environment for 1,600 years. Assessment of the long-term accumulation of this material is not something that can be dismissed with a single flawed snapshot of current conditions. These are local, municipal, sanitary landfills situated near homes and drinking water sources, and the DEP has a clear responsibility to Pennsylvania residents to ensure that leachate does not pose a threat to public health. Thank you.
Next, we have Tom Schuster, Director of Sierra Club Pennsylvania Chapter, speaking on the inappropriate standard for radium and the evidence of environmental buildup.
Thank you, Jillian, and thank you everyone for covering this important issue. Clean air and clean water are the foundations of public health, and protecting them is at the core of DEP's mission. That's why this report, and especially DEP's misleading messaging about the report, are so disappointing. The claim of no risk is inappropriate. in part because it's based on the wrong standards. The report compared results of gamma spectroscopy tests on leachate to a standard set by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission of 600 picocuries per liter. And this is the standard for untreated discharges from nuclear power plants, but it's only allowed under certain unusual conditions. Ordinarily, these power plants are required to limit radioactive discharges as much as possible and have many controls in place to do so. They primarily discharge tritium, which is a hydrogen isotope that has a much shorter half-life and is much less prone to accumulation in humans than radium. A more appropriate standard for this context would have been 60 picocuries per liter for general industrial discharges. The report considers this but rejects it because it's for treated discharge, and they sampled untreated leachate. But the treatment systems that this leachate is sent to are typically municipal sewage systems. They're not designed to remove radium, nor are any of them required to monitor radium in their own discharges or reduce it in any way. All the radium that goes in to them comes out again, either in the liquid discharge to waterways or in the sewage sludge, which is often applied to farm fields. All of the landfills actually exceeded the 60 picocuries per liter standard, and none of the effluent from the sewage treatment plants was tested as part of this study. The report also uses a radiochemistry test to claim that most, though not all, leachate samples have a lower concentration of radium than what is allowed in drinking water. This too is misleading because the specific test method they used is meant to be performed on relatively clean drinking water, not the stew of pollution contained in landfill leachate. There are other chemicals present in the leachate that interfere with the ability of this test to actually detect radium, leading to artificially low test results. And the fact remains that radium from landfill leachate is getting into the environment. Dr. John Stoltz and colleagues at Duquesne University and the University of Pittsburgh sampled stream sediments upstream and downstream from leachate discharge points at landfills and treatment plants and found radium levels up to 4 times higher than upstream of those discharges. The landfills cannot fully contain the radium, and the sewage treatment plants that receive most of the leachate cannot isolate and remove it. All they can do is dilute it, but dilution is not the solution for radium pollution. Ultimately, it is the solution for avoiding accountability from DEP, unfortunately. Here's the problem. Whether you mix a given amount of radium with 100 gallons of water or 1,000,000 gallons, it will settle out relatively quickly and persist in the environment when it settles. And when you do this consistently over many years, it will accumulate, and that is where the real risk comes from. We can't let this report be the last word on the issue, causing us to ignore the risks of radium deposition in the environment. We need ongoing monitoring of radium at landfills and the oil and gas that accept oil and gas waste, and we need sewage treatment and monitoring at sewage treatment plants that accept their leachate. And most importantly, actual limits on radium discharge in their permits. These limits must be based on a robust and appropriate risk analysis. And if there's truly nothing to worry about, then complying with these limits should be easy. But in the complete absence of permit limits, all we have are empty promises.
Thank you, Tom. Next, we have Laura Dagley, registered nurse and environmental health medical writer for Physicians for Social Responsibility Pennsylvania, speaking on the health impacts of Pennsylvanians.
Hi, thank you. So like she said, my name is Laura Dagley, and I am a nurse and a member of Physicians for Social Responsibility's Concerned Health Professionals. And we work to protect public health from environmental harm. And what we're seeing in this leachate report demands a medical response. Let me be very clear about what radioactivity does to the human body. When radioactive elements like radium enter our bodies through water, food, or air, they don't just pass through. They are absorbed by tissues in our body. They emit alpha, beta, and gamma radiation that can injure and kill our cells. This can cause genetic damage, it can cause cancer, and it can cause heart disease. And radium is what we are talking about today. Radium-226 and radium-228 are specifically linked to the increased incidence of bone, liver, and breast cancer. Radium is what scientists call a bone seeker. It mimics calcium and deposits itself into our bones, where it radiates surrounding tissue for years. Radium has a long half-life, so it is active for a long time. And the bone marrow damage from this can impact blood cell production, leading to anemia, weakened immunity, and can cause chronic fatigue, infections, and bleeding problems. Here's something critically important that the DEP's report does not tell you. Low, slow, continuous doses of radiation can actually be more dangerous per unit than a single high dose because our cells keep getting damaged again and again when they are still trying to recover. And this exposure does not happen in a vacuum. It is in addition to the background radiation Pennsylvanians already carry. Our state has the third highest indoor radon levels in the country. Every additional source of exposure increases risk, and there is no safe threshold. These are municipal sanitary landfills. They sit near our rivers, our streams, our drinking water, in our drinking water infrastructure. The communities around them did not ask to be guinea pigs in an experiment of long-term radiation exposure. There is no safe level of radium exposure. There are only legal levels, which should never be confused with safe. As a healthcare professional, I can tell you that prevention is the best cure, and that starts with the DEP telling the truth about what this data actually shows so they can inform and protect Pennsylvanians. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Next, we have Seth Sherman, a staff attorney from Center for Coalfield Justice, speaking about community impacts and awareness.
Thank you. Good morning. As many of my colleagues have pointed out, why DEP's analysis was so flawed and why radioactive leachate is so dangerous to our environment. But what I find most troubling about this report is what DEP is going to do in response to it, and that is nothing. It appears that DEP is going to conduct no changes nor adjustments to how it regulates our landfills nor their leachate. The data found in this report should have acted as a canary in the coal mine for DEP. Instead, it used this report as an opportunity to provide cover for an industry that DEP has routinely failed to regulate and keep in track. An industry that is poisoning our water, exacerbating our climate at an unbelievable scale, while exploiting our communities and our natural resources. This report should have resulted in fundamental changes in how DEP regulates both the acceptance of oil and gas waste as well as their leachate. The data suggests that DEP should, at the very least, conduct changes in how it's monitoring and tracking landfills which accept this oil and gas waste, to have a better inventory of it and allow the public to be better aware of where this radioactive waste is going. And it should create more stringent methods for how it's monitoring the radioactivity of this waste when it is accepted. And it should modify all existing permits surrounding these landfills and how they account for their radioactivity and how they prevent the stormwater discharge of this leachate. But what DEP has done most fundamentally with this report is fail to keep the people and communities of those who live and recreate near these landfills safe. This report has failed to fairly inform the public about the dangers that radioactive leachate poses to them. Everyone understands the standard risks and nuisances that come from living near your local municipal waste landfill. But this report shows that many of these same landfills should be treated as radioactive waste sites. CCJ knows many people who fish, swim, recreate, and live upstream of multiple of the sites along this map. And this report not only does nothing to keep those people safe, it actively muddies the water concerning the leachate and prevents many people from being able to form and make informed decisions about what is in their community. The time to act for DEP was yesterday. The least they can do is start now. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. So, in closing, we are here today to demand better. Declaring that there is no human health risk is not just misleading, but it's dangerous. When the underlying science is inadequate, the conclusions cannot be trusted, and communities are left without a clear understanding of the exposure or risk. Poor data quality can mask real health threats, delay protective action, and erode public trust. Therefore, we demand today the DEP continues sampling and evaluation of the state's landfills as recommended by the department's own report. We ask that the DEP release the full data and study methodology so scientific experts can conduct peer-reviewed studies. Finally, we urge DEP to conduct a rigorous and transparent reassessment that accounts for the potential health impacts and reflects the agency's investment in the well-being of Pennsylvanians. This is the bare minimum that our state government owes to the Pennsylvanians at risk of harm. Flawed and incomplete data plus inaction is just not good enough. We are here today to deliver our letter to DEP office in the Southwest Regional Office here in Pittsburgh. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for your thoughtful comments.